Welcome to the Earthworks podcast, where our team will share the jargon of carbon with many of the turf friends we've met over the past 35 years.
Hi again, everybody. Kevin Hicks here with another Earthworks podcast. And to quote John Cleese from the old Monty Python days, and now for something completely different. Jared and I do not know each other. Jared Doerfler is the founder of Hanna Golf Company in Cedar Falls, Iowa. And I follow him on social media, but I thought it'd be a really interesting conversation. He's certainly involved in the game of golf. We'll get into kind of some of your writing and some other things that you do related to the game and the industry here in a little bit. But in particular, I thought it was very interesting. Me being a bit of a woodworker and a maker myself, I thought it was interesting that you've kind of sprung out on your own and you're manufacturing putters now. So that's kind of the main crux of why I wanted you on. But I thought it'd be really interesting to get your take on not only the golf industry, but maybe, how golf maintenance and that side of the industry can help the growth of the game and so forth. So, Jared, thank you so much for coming on.
Kevin, thanks for having me.
You bet. So, I guess we'll start right at the top and tell us a little bit about who you are and what your background is, and it's a pretty interesting story.
Yeah, I walked onto a pretty crummy Division I golf team in 2008. Didn't have a roster spot. I'm not sure it was actually NCAA legal, but didn't have a roster spot. It was a lot of practice with the team. Coach Bermel at University of Northern Iowa said, "Look, if you're good enough, I'll give you a spot on the roster." And I somehow careered it my first month at college there when I got there, and I never left the top 5 after I got in. So,
Nice.
Golf's been kind of in my blood since I was about 5 years old. My dad and granddad taught me the game like a lot of folks, and after college, I was burnt out like a lot of people are after do any college sport, and kind of left the game for about seven years or so. And I was finishing my MBA, and I had this elective to burn. I'm 36 now, Kevin, so I'm 30 at this time or whatever. And I took an entrepreneurship course. Instructors talked about how important writing online was, and I will take go into my grave how important writing online is in many different various ways. And so I started a newsletter, and that newsletter was called Perfect Putt, and I talked about the business side of golf. And we started that thing with I had no social following whatsoever, 60 followers on Twitter or whatever thing. I just started talking about golf and the business side of golf. No one was really doing it. I was able to grow that newsletter and have a lot of fun with it. And as I'm in there covering, a lot of the business side of golf, I'm like, I'd rather be in the business than writing about the business. And I've always kind of had this entrepreneurial bug, but I think a lot of us do. But the problem is actually getting started. And so my dad was diagnosed with MS in 2012, and it didn't really bother him for the first 4 or 5 years. But he called me in 2022, and it's like, I'm gonna retire next year. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, how did that happen? And my dad now cannot walk anymore. So he's enjoying his retirement, not doing the things that he used to love to do, ride his bike and ski and play golf and all of these things. And that was honestly the the final thing that kicked me over of, hey, look, I want to do something. Because life is way too short. We never know we're gonna have a life altering event, and we should enjoy and challenge ourselves and be uncomfortable in many different situations while we're here. And while I'm young enough to still kind of have energy to do this. And so that was it. I was like, I want to start something. So then I get back to, okay, well, what is it going to be? And number one, it had to be in the golf space, just because I enjoyed the golf space for my newsletter and met so many great people. Number two, I had to be able to make it. For me,
that's a fairly important thing.
Yeah. Look, you could start a putter company and have somebody in China make your putters, right?
Yeah.
And you can start a brand that way. But I had to physically make it myself for a wide variety of reasons. number one, manufacturing is in my blood. I'm a big believer in manufacturing in the United States.
Cool.
And, number two, it was just, it just made the most sense at the time for us to be able to tell our story effectively. And also it's much more, I won't say simpler, but everything kind of aligns. So when we make our stuff, we're able to kind of flip on, we're able to turn quickly versus a large boat. So, that's how I got to where I am today. I launched Hanna Golf in 2023. I'm sorry, 2024, summer 2024. I quit my job in summer 2023. Never seen a CNC mill in my life before.
Okay.
Bought one, got it shipped to my garage at home, taught myself everything on YouTube. And it's just been an incredible journey of failure, quite frankly, Kevin. So it's been, really it is. You have to be comfortable with failure. And, I thought I was, and then I started doing this and, boy, did I learned pretty quickly that I'm not.
Well, I think
as much as I thought.
I think that's kind of an underlying theme for most entrepreneurs is they they get better from the failures. I've got a friend who's I guess you'd call him a serial entrepreneur, and he had a saying that I'm sure he stole from somebody else, but he said that I'll make 10 decisions in the time most people will make two or three. Even if I miss a couple, I'm still way ahead of the curve. So that's I never forgot him saying that. I don't know where he borrowed that from, but that's what you're living right now.
He's right though.
Yeah. So do you have family that you're taking care of as well, or?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've got a wife and three kids. My wife and I, dated in high school, and I had a third kid during this process, and that was part of the deal, Kevin. Look, it's never going to get easier. Like
Right.
everyone's like, oh, I kind of liken it to find your first house. It's like I'm never going to have enough money or whatever it may be, or
Yeah.
whatever. It's never going to get easier, right? So like, I have young kids, 6, 3, and 1, and like, yeah, it's hard right now, but like they're going to start doing events and activities after school. I still have the ability to work as much as I want during the
Sure.
week because of the activities, and so, but at some point in life, that's going to change where the 6-year-old's want, she's going to be 8 and she's going to want to play golf at 4:30 in the afternoon on a weekday. So.
Yep.
I had to get this thing started, and the only it's not a regret, but I wish I would have started earlier, to be quite frank with you. But I
Cool.
was nervous, like a lot of people.
Yeah, and the fear of failure can be a heck of a motivator too, can it? That you just
Oh yeah.
you can't fail in that case. Well, that's super cool. So let's go back to the writing piece. What was your target audience for that? And talk a little bit more about what you're writing about.
So yeah, the newsletter called Perfect Putt, weekly newsletter that broke down the business side of golf. So anywhere from Callaway buying Top Golf or Top Golf spitting out, anywhere from what a PGA Tour caddy makes. Just breaking down all sorts of unique business aspects, and grew that to about 11,000 subscribers. And quite frankly, just had so much fun with that and met so many cool people along the way. So,
And you're still doing that, right?
We're on a little bit of a break right now.
Okay.
Yeah, but we're still doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. I did I guess whatever the opposite of a deep dive. I did a shallow dive into that page on X, and some pretty interesting stuff. If anybody's interested, where they find that.
Yeah, so it's substack.perfectputt.com.
Yeah, pretty cool. A lot of interesting insights into the industry for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so you're still doing that, but you're on a little bit of a break. So you quit your job, which was in what? We talked a little bit offline about this.
Yeah, so I was in medical sales after college for 7 years, and then we had the opportunity to move back to Iowa. My wife and I are from Iowa and want to be close to family, and so I took a job at a manufacturing company, a small manufacturing company, about 130 employees, and I left there. I had responsibilities over the sales team and the manufacturing team. So kind of a weird concept. VP of sales manufacturing. You don't see that often, but we were in a bit of a transition period with personnel, and I was happy to take that manufacturing role and learned a lot during that period.
Okay, manufacturing out of golf, right?
Yeah. So great question, Kevin. So I'm not sure. Like the easiest way I can describe it is if you have a toll road in your state or your area, you have you have an RFID tag in your car to read that toll pass, and so that's what we made.
Gotcha.
along with a variety of other asset tags.
In a state that has no toll roads at all. Interesting.
Iowa has no toll roads, correct?
Yeah, we talked also that my wife graduated from UNI as well, so that there was a connection there that I thought we could make, but and just had a niece we're going to go visit this weekend that graduated last spring from UNI as well. She's down in Houston now teaching, so kind of
Hmm.
cool connections. Um, so support from your wife. I mean, that's a scary two little kids and
Hmm.
one coming up. That's a scary venture, and I think a lot of people think about entrepreneurship and think about, man, if I had the time, I'd bust out and do this. A lot of guys working side hustles and things like that, but um, what finally just pushed you over the edge and said, "All right, we're doing this."
Yeah, I mean, it's when my dad told me he was retiring. Like,
Yeah,
that was truly it, and like we just, our time is so finite on this planet. And,
yeah,
like I could walk out of my shop today and get hit by a bus,
right.
and never be able to work again. And at least I gave it a shot. Is kind of how I see it.
Sure, sure. So, all right, so let's get into Hanna Golf. What are you building? How are you building it? And kind of break that down, the details, and why
Yeah.
and why you're building what you're building.
Yeah, Hanna Golf's it's a premium CNC milled putter company,
Okay.
with four designs, and so we mill all of our putters out of one block at 303 stainless steel, also as a billet. And so kind of what we're aiming for is more of a like a boutique feel. We do limited drops, and we do collabs, and we also have our stock putters on our website that we sell every day. So yeah, I mean it's been a ton of fun for us to figure it out. We got a small shop, about 2,000 square feet. Been at it for about a year and a half now.
Okay.
Selling putters. Yeah, I mean it's the journey is the reward, and for us it's been a ton of fun.
So talk about marketing and how you're selling. Are you direct selling? Are you going to the show this week down in
Mm.
Orlando? I mean, what point are you at with that?
Yeah, so our sales are primarily direct to consumer on the internet.
Okay.
We, marketing, just spent money on marketing in November and December for the first time. I'm not spending any money right now on marketing. Don't generally spend money on marketing. For us, we really focus on brand storytelling on social media.
Hmm.
And then, another channel for us is like B2B. And what that is, somebody will come to me, business owner, and say, "Hey, I want six putters, with our company logo on them, and
Okay.
a certain design." And
Yeah.
so that's our channel for us. And we do want to get into golf courses. And so PGA Show, we're not going. PGA Show would be a great opportunity for us down the road. Where we're at, and why this is so. I've learned a lot about manufacturing. I think why it's left the United States, but for us, we have a set amount of capacity, and
Yeah.
so we really can't handle getting a bunch of shops right now. Now, if we had a sub and they were doing everything for us, we could write orders all day long and invoice, and then you just play the net 30 game all day, and
Yeah.
with your suppliers and your
Yeah. Yeah.
customers, and so to grow the business. But for us to grow the business, it's a significant capital requirement with buying more CNC machines.
So do you think that, I mean, you said something that kind of tipped my interest. Do you think that's why manufacturing in country has become so prohibitive? Is
Well,
is just the infrastructure?
I think it's been prohibitive for a lot of reasons, but if you're trying to compete on labor and materials from other countries that are, have much cheaper labor, much cheaper materials, it's going to be very challenging to compete. Now, my previous company, we onshored part of our manufacturing process back to Iowa, and we were able to do it for cheaper, and we were paying for it. And so it just requires a significant capital, expenditure up front to do that. Another thing for us is, there's a lot of entrepreneurs in this country,
Yeah.
and for for them, if they want to, if they want to make a physical good, they're going to go online, and so we we don't really have the infrastructure in our country set up to where we don't have an Alibaba of the United States. And it's like, okay, Alibaba of the United States, and I want to make golf clothes. And I just go to all the factories in the United States to make golf clothes. There are factories in the United States to make golf clothes, but it's not super accessible for us to do that. But if you go on Alibaba, you can get 10 suppliers lined up in an hour. Now, are they going to be good or not? That's the other question, but you can flush it out pretty quickly within, a matter of a month. And so, it's much simpler to set up your supply chain overseas right now if your brand is doing a physical good. For us, since we're making it ourselves, it's a little bit different. But we could go online and we could find suppliers in the United States and overseas to make our stuff, and it would lower it would increase on our material cost. But we want to have the labor costs, we want to have machine costs, we want to have tooling costs, etc.
Yeah, yeah. Are the raw materials sourced in the States, or do you have to go overseas for that?
They are. So we get our material out of a mill in Michigan. Which was, an interesting journey. During April with the tariffs of this year, a lot of 303 stainless steel is actually not made in the United States. A lot comes from Canada. So, trying to work through that and find a different partner and a different supplier. But I'm really happy with who we're working with right now in Michigan.
Okay, cool. And so, in a perfect world, would your vision be that you're in every pro shop in the country and online, or because you're trying to sell based on story, is that boutique sort of mentality where you want to stay? I mean, there's advantages and disadvantages to both models, right?
Yeah, I mean, and it's a question I get often, and quite frankly, I don't have an answer for it. And there's somebody that's a goal-oriented person. It's always a weird thing to answer this. I don't really have an end game for this. I don't really have a massive goal. What we really focus on, Kevin, is process, right? And we want to have a great attitude and great effort every single day in our shop. And it's just me and two other people. So we want to have a great attitude, bring great effort, and execute our plan every day. And just that will take us to where it needs to go. The market will dictate where we're at. I mean, I can't force people to buy putters, and so whatever that looks like. Does that look like, new designs, more innovation in designs, different marketing channels, sales channels, et cetera. And so, yeah, I mean, we're going to continue to push the envelope. We want to continue to grow. But, it's, I don't have this overarching goal of, hey, it'd be great if, Scotty Scheffler played our putter, or I want to be in every golf shop, like you mentioned, which I think is a very normal thing to think. But for us, it's just trying to execute each day.
Let it kind of grow and develop organically.
Yeah.
You'll get your master's win at some point, I'm sure, but so do you have it in the hands of anybody on tour that can help get the word out, or I mean, that channel's always kind of interesting. There's buzz about different clubs and it
is,
all of a sudden things blow up.
Yeah, I mean, for us, so I launched in July of 2024, and Joel Damon then ended up buying a putter from us a couple weeks later, and then he sent me a text a month later and said, "Hey, like I love this." He sent a text with a scorecard and he shot 60 with it because I love the putter. Season's over. I want to talk to you about some redesign stuff. So we did some redesign stuff for him. Sent him the updated
Washington State guy, I think, right?
Well, yeah, Washington.
Yeah,
he was there for a year.
Yeah,
pretty sure it was a year. So anyway, yeah, we worked through the process with Joel. Ultimately, he ended up not playing it. However, he still continues to help us every single month, it seems, and
cool
behind the scenes deal. And then I went to the 3M this summer and met a lot of the guys there, and realized pretty quickly that we're not really set up right now to serve those guys, good or bad. And so we got some work to do if we want to get there. I believe we can get there. We're just not ready yet.
So getting into the design, where you said you've got 4 models right now?
Correct.
So where did they come from? Are they takeoffs of something that's in the market? Are they completely unique, or what?
So one model came from, I guess I kind of skipped a piece of the story with this thing is, when I got to college, my coaches took to put me on a putting software, and I was using a blade putter like everyone else, and they ripped it out of my hands after literally 30 seconds and gave me a mallet putter.
Right.
And I putt with that putter all through college, and I loved that thing. Didn't sound great, didn't really feel great, but I made a lot of putts with that. And so when I left, I gave it back to my coach because it was a prototype off a tour truck. And so I tried to find that putter. I could never find it. So I'm like,
Mm.
okay, and I drew a sketch one night, had my brother-in-law make it in CAD and I had a buddy make it in machine shop and of what I thought it was. And so this predates Hanna Golf by about 2 years.
Okay.
Anyway, I love that project. And so one of our first models comes back to that putter and that style, and that's our most popular putter, which is the traditional mid mallet. The other take is on our double wide blade, which double wide blades tend to be really long putters, as long as a normal blade. And my father-in-law was like, I just want something different. I want it shorter, and so we made that shorter. Increased the MOI on that, which is a great putter as well. It tests out better than its competitors. And then another one, our Denver is a unique model. It's a triangle design. It's different. We want to be a little bit different. And then our Salt Lake, which is the Fang design, was a request that we had quite a bit last winter, and so we came out with that in April of 2025, and that's done really well for us. We like that putter.
And then you just fit a traditional putter shaft into the prototypes, and that's kind of how you go from there.
Yeah.
And you'll ship a complete grip shaft, everything. You're not just selling the head, right?
Oh yeah, no, you get a full putter. You get that box, and you can go out to use it to that golf course that day.
Okay, so I'm just going to pick one arbitrarily, but the Denver model. How many iterations of that from conceptual to, hey, this is the one that's going to be on our website? How many iterations are there I'm just curious, you work through, that edge didn't look right, or that face needs to be milled differently or whatever. What is it a lot, or is it just boom, nailed it on the first try?
It's not boom. The Denver was a little bit quicker for us though, because that was the third design that I did. And I would want to say maybe a half dozen. So, our El Reno design, and that was a couple dozen designs to get to where we wanted to be. And just give you an example, we're working on a new putter right now, two new putters right now in our shop. And one of them, we've been working on since July.
Okay.
And quite a few different design iterations just to really nail down the weight and a few different things. And the other one we're working on, just for example, I've redesigned that in CAD 3 times this week already, and it's Wednesday morning. So I mean, it's like, okay, so we spend a lot of time in CAD getting that right. So
sure,
it just really depends. You look at CAD and simulations in CAD, and they're not always going to be 1-to-1. And so for us, we're trying to nail a certain weight. Their simulation might be off by 3 or 4 grams. So then we got to go into CAD and update a few things.
So you're doing all the design work yourself or in-house?
Absolutely.
So, and it's funny, if you were designing a gear for a machine, CAD would be the perfect place for that. But with putters, you've got to take that design and, even if the design is quote perfect, now you put it in the hands of a good golfer or a bad golfer, and the feel isn't right. So how do you square that circle?
So the biggest, no, you're right. And so, but feel is very subjective,
right,
for a lot of golfers, right? So we're never going to make everybody happy with our feel.
Sure.
And what I will say, where we start with design work, when we have a putter prototyped and off the mill, is sound. That is the first thing that we go to is, how does it sound? It has to sound the right way. If it doesn't sound the right way, we're going back to the drawing board.
So what's that sound for you?
Well, the sound is almost like a deadening, solid feel.
Okay.
When we get a bad sound, it's a high pitched ping.
Okay.
If that's, sound is so important to golfers. And, as a right-handed golfer, we hear everything our left ear first. And so, sound is so important. Feel we can play with quite a bit with, the mill pattern on our face. How deep do we want to mill it? Deeper we mill it, the softer it is. Shallow we mill it, the more firmer, if you will, is. And so, what I mean by that, everything is subjective. I'm very confident that the sound is going to be loved by most people, right? But the feel is a different thing, right? So Some
Yeah.
people don't want a mill pattern on their face, and that's okay. Like our putter may not be for you. Some people love the mill pattern on their face, right? Most people do, but some people may want a more firmer feel or a softer
Yeah.
feel or the feel of an insert, which totally different story. But yeah, so I mean, it's we really start with sound and feel, and shape's got to be good too. But we can always kind of move around with the shape as long as we get the sound and the feel right. Then I think that we're usually heading in the right direction.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, like most golfers, I've had an array of different designs and different putters, but sound was never anything. It was always look. Same with wedges. So it's interesting that sound was kind of the first focus. So if I don't normally do this, but I find myself compelled now to look on your website. So since half the listeners are probably going, okay, I got to look at these different designs. Where do we find your website? What's the
Yeah,
tag?
it's hannagolf.com. So that's HANNA golf.com.
Okay. So if I were interested in a putter, would I contact you guys and work on kind of the specifics, or is it mostly no, this is the Denver is the Denver. This is the one we're gonna sell. I mean, can I customize it? Because you're talking about different face mills and things like
Mhm.
that. Is it a fully customizable experience every putter, or how do how do you tackle that?
Yeah, so I mean, I think our website is does a pretty good job of walking someone through the process of 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 them trying to pick out a putter that best fits them.
Okay.
There are some customizable aspects of our website,
Hmm.
but not everything is customizable. But and then I'll take it a step further: is we talk to people on the phone daily and emails and text messages. If they have a question or if
Yeah.
they want to, if they're curious about something, we're happy to discuss that. And so I actually enjoy that more than anything.
Sure.
And so, we try to be, accessible to the, to our customers and, get them a putter that they like.
Yeah. That's super cool. Very interesting. How'd the name come about?
Yeah. So my two daughters, which I had at the time, I'm not necessarily creative. So my two daughters, my oldest daughter's name is Johanna, and my youngest daughter's name is Harriet. So I said, all right, if I just chop the Joe off of Johanna, I get Hannah, and then I can tell my 3-year-old Harriet that it starts with an H to make her happy. Now my son, on the other hand, who was born out, in the middle of this thing, got nothing for him. But if he's old enough to ask, then that means something's going right with the business, and we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
He could buy the company from you when it's time. That's
Sure,
that's how that'll work.
sure.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Hey, you don't have to be creative, but as long as you give a nod to the kids, I think they'll be happy with
Yeah.
that. So,
Yep.
so let's break down, and I want to go back, because I think you've done some really cool stuff. I've read a bunch of um, your blog postings or your writings. I want to go back to that a little bit and talk about that here in a few minutes. But um, by the numbers, you started in earnest in 23, right?
I quit my job in 23, and it
Okay.
took me a year to launch. So we started selling putters in summer of 24.
Okay. You said you've got two employees and yourself.
Yep. Yep.
Um, uh, how many CNC machines are you running? What I don't think people really realize the cost of infrastructure for something like that. I mean,
Hmm.
you're not going down to the Ace Hardware and buying one of those things. I mean, there's a
Hmm.
significant investment, I would assume. But how many can you manufacture in a day? Kind of break some of
Yeah.
that stuff down.
So we have two machines, two Haas mills. Started with a Tormach mill, and then bought a Haas, and then last year we got rid of the Tormach and got another Haas, and so then we got two Haas mills. We can right now, as it currently stands, we can make 6 putters a day.
Okay.
Um, I mean, it does depend on product mix a little bit. And we're pretty confident we can get that to 8 a day here. We've got a good plan in place to increase the efficiency in our production process. We've got to execute on that. And so that's something we'll be looking here to do in the next 60 to 90 days. Yes, I mean, again, like I mentioned earlier, we're at capacity constraints. I mean,
Right.
60 days, 120 a month. And so, yeah, I mean, that's kind of where we're at.
And are you selling them all right now?
selling 120 a month.
Everything you can manufacture, you're selling?
Nope. Nope.
Okay.
I mean, that really depends on product mix. So last year, I think I posted this on social. We shipped 650 putters last
Okay.
year. This year be great. We're trying to shoot for that 1,000 mark, and so that's 85 putters a month. Again, with us, that really depends on product mix, and so if we're doing a drop, a copper plated drop, that's not six a day. That requires quite a bit of labor and love to get a copper plate. Just to make one plated copper putter, just to
Right.
get the plate on there is a 3-hour process. And so,
Okay.
you start doing the math that we can do 3 copper plates a day. So it really depends on our product mix and what we're doing.
So the copper plate would be an insert, or is that for
No,
customization?
no.
Like,
So we do a drop. We try to do a drop once a quarter, and so that drop's a limited release drop. And so
okay.
we limit those to 24 putters, and that's a really cool deal that we've had a lot of success and luck with. And copper plate is it's a 303 stainless steel putter with base material, and then we electroplate it copper. And so we
In-house.
electroplate in-house, absolutely, and we
Okay.
do that electroplate with copper, and then we put it through an aging process, and so it gets an antique copper looking.
Oh, cool.
It's the coolest putter that we've made. I'm so like just in awe of the fact that we're able to make that. Just 2.5 years ago, I didn't know what a CNC-milled was, and so it's really neat.
So every billet is the same raw material,
Hmm.
that same 303 stainless, and then you end up with more or less shavings depending on the design.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. Um, uh, what's, cast a 10-year vision? Are you building full sets of irons?
Hmm.
Are you staying in the putter sphere? Are you gonna build some cool wedges? What would the vision be if you continue on this path?
Now, I just really love where we're at right now with putters.
Yeah,
It's hard enough, and irons and wedges are a totally different ball game. It's like the exact opposite of machining. So you know
because
you got to
what?
get okay. So you get blanks for irons. Like I don't think there's one foundry in the United States anymore that does. There's just one. I'm pretty sure just one left
Okay.
that does heads. And so it used to be quite a bit more than one. So they're mostly done in Japan and China now. And so what you
Hmm.
do is you go find a partner and you say, like, I want some wedges, and they come to you in this blank look, and they need a ton of finished work. And so you got to start grinding everything down on a wheel to get the bounce in lofts there.
Hmm.
So, and your lie angle should be there too, but now you got to grind everything away. You've got to personalize everything. You got to decorate it.
Hmm.
It's a much more interesting process, because with a CNC mill, you don't get immediate feedback, if you will. It takes time. So you put a block of metal in a CNC mill, and it's going to take 3 hours to let you know. And it's going to be exact. I mean, it's as long
Sure.
as you're, the person putting it in the machine did a good job setting it up,
Yeah.
it's going to be down to the, 5/10 of a thousand. With blanks, with irons and wedges, you're going to get immediate feedback because it's on a wheel. But you're also, it's very hard to get exact. It is a true art form, and it's a skill that I would say is not, it's something that has to be like passed down almost generationally, or you
Hmm.
have to just be screwing around with it in your garage for years before I think that you can do it. Now, that's how I would approach irons and wedges. You can approach it a different way by having somebody just fully make everything for you,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and finish it for you. But again, I don't know if it's the right way or wrong way, but we like doing things the hard way here.
Yeah, that would really stray from what
Yeah.
you've built there for sure. I get that. Yeah. Um, uh, so the CNC, I mean, the CNC thing is a fascinating piece to me just because I'm
Hmm.
a woodworker, but um, the 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 milling bits, all that stuff, they're pretty standard, right? For milling stainless. Are they
Hmm.
stainless specific
That,
type of bits?
yeah, they are. I mean, so we're using carbide end mills, and so
Okay.
yeah. I mean, I think they're pretty. I mean, I would consider them like there's like mscindustrial.com, which is a huge place for
Yeah.
machinists to go and buy all their supplies. I wouldn't really say you could buy all of our stuff on there. We're a little bit more specialized. I mean, for example, we're using a 64th inch ball end mill yesterday, which I mean is incredibly tiny.
Yeah. No
Um,
kidding.
so I mean that's kind of where we live. But yeah, I mean it's um, yeah, I mean the carbide end mills they're really and stainless steel is beautiful, Kevin. I love working with stainless steel.
Cool. I gotta check it out. That's it's super interesting. Okay, so let me kind of tack a little bit and tap into your knowledge and your understanding of the industry as a whole. What
Mhm.
um where are we going in the industry? I mean, obviously I've got an interest, and the people typically that listen to this are more on the golf maintenance side of things, but it's all the same business. I mean,
Mhm.
if golf thrives, we thrive. Budgets increase, things go well. I sell more fertilizer, the whole thing works well. So, there's been a resurgence
Mm.
in the game. And I'll leave this one for a couple minutes from now, but what's the trajectory? Are we cooling a little bit, or are we continuing in your experience?
So that's a great question. And 6 months ago or a year ago, I'd been able to give you like such a great answer on this, and I just don't anymore because I'm not really living in that space as much as I need to be with how the industry is. My newsletter, I was really focused on that on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll say: is I started writing that newsletter in 2021, summer 2021, and golf has gone through an absolute just boom throughout that, and every year I get the same questions from folks. Hey, look, when's the bubble gonna pop? When's the bubble gonna pop? When's the bubble gonna pop? And quite frankly, I don't think it's gonna pop for quite a few reasons. But the main one is if you look at the growing demographics, so juniors and females um, are growing at a high clip, higher. That's the highest two growing demographics, and
Hmm.
so um, which is a really important and sustainable part of
Huge.
our game. If we get juniors playing, then those juniors are going to turn into consumer spenders in
Yep.
10, 15 years. And so I think golf's in a really good spot. I also think golf has some challenges, and the market will figure this out. But golf's becoming more expensive to play.
Hmm.
It was already perceived as an expensive thing to do, but it's becoming quite a bit more expensive to play public golf. And not only that is that public golf tee times are more challenging to get. And
Yeah.
so, we do have a supply chain or a supply and demand issue in golf. And the thing is, we're not really building public golf courses right now. The golf
Yeah.
courses we're building they fall into two buckets. They fall into high end resort style destination courses, or they fall into a private course. Um, and so that's not necessarily relieving the demand we have. But then if you start looking at the indoor golf space, and the indoor golf space is playing a huge part in relieving demand, believe it or not. Um, for a lot of folks that, whether it's winter or whether it's, they can't get a tee time for a public golf course, that's good. And then also, par three golf is also playing a little bit of a role in that. And I'm a huge proponent of both those. I think par three golf, especially lighted par three golf, is a huge opportunity in
Hmm.
certain areas of the country. It's not going to really work in Iowa for a lot of reasons, but
Right.
Phoenix, Arizona, with the guys at Grass Clippings, are absolutely killing it,
Yeah.
and they've done a great job with that concept. And so you look at threes in South Carolina, and I think there's another threes going up somewhere else. I read about maybe Nashville or something, but nonetheless, there's opportunity, but we also have to be careful with where we're at.
Hmm. Um, Indoor golf. I'm on the fence. I think, I'm in a northern climate like you are. So in reality, that's the only outlet we have for several months out of the year. But I'm on the fence whether that's the pipeline, and maybe I need to put things like Topgolf in a different bucket. But it
Mm,
seems like I'm on the fence whether that's a pipeline that truly feeds the actual game of golf or not. I think it could have been. I'm not sure we've done a good job of partnering with those avenues and those spaces very well. Uh, uh, am I off on that, do you think?
No, I mean, here's what I would describe it. So there's there's a lot of indoor golf companies out there, and I would actually separate the two. Kind of, I think what you're getting at here. So I'll give you a good example. A company out in Kansas City called Golf Track.
Hmm.
They're an indoor golf company, and they have locations around the country, around the Midwest. And when I was chatting with them about a year ago, they brought up something really, really interesting to me. Is I lived in Kansas City at one point, and so I had a good idea of what it was going to cost to join a certain club.
Sure.
And my wife and I were going to join, and then we moved. At the time, it was 10,000 initiation, whatever the dues were, whatever. Last year, it was 50 grand initiation,
Hmm.
and so people in their upper 20s, lower 30s aren't going to pay the 50 grand
Right.
initiation. So what they were seeing is they were seeing the folks that love to play golf. They want to join a community where they can go and take their, they know who's going to be there most days, and they can build relationships with people just like you would at a golf course. But
Yep.
now they're doing that at a fraction of the cost for $3,000 a year, $4,000 a year to join, a golf track location. And so I think what you're seeing in indoor golf isn't necessarily a pipeline to outdoor golf. I think it's an extension. What I
Hmm.
think what we missed with entertainment, which I think is kind of what you're referring to as a pipeline, was Top Golf. And Top Golf, was responsible for introducing the game to millions of golfers. But I think if you look at the numbers, they probably did a better job than what people give them credit for, is introducing the game to golfers, and then those golfers play green grass golf. Because, for people like you, people like me, we want people to play green grass golf, right?
Yeah.
The more people who play green grass golf, we're better off. But Top Golf, I think we need to separate the two from the business side of that, and then how well they actually converted golfers. I don't have the number off the top of my head. I used to. I wish I did.
Right.
It's a high number of people that they converted. And that study was run by National Golf Foundation. The kickback I always get on the internet was, it's how do we know these numbers are accurate? They're just paying National Golf Foundation to give good numbers, whatever it may be. Maybe some people are right, maybe some people are wrong, but we can't deny that there's certainly an impact that entertainment had on introducing golf to
Yeah.
a lot of folk. Now that is separate from, was the business run well since Callaway took it over? Did they grow too fast, and did they spend too much money? Type of question. I think we want to separate those two.
Yeah.
I personally, not a Top Golf guy. I'll go once every 6 months. But that doesn't mean that I'm right. Doesn't mean that I'm wrong. I just prefer to play actual golf. But
Sure.
Top Golf became this replacement for, date night. It became this replacement of going out to eat at a restaurant. That's
Yep.
what Top Golf ended
Yeah.
up really being, and that's what it is.
Yeah, and to a degree, I think it's a little bit different clientele, and I wonder if maybe there was some resistance from the traditional golf community. You walk in, and I remember the first time I walked into one, it was in the Scottsdale location, day before Easter. I had a son that was playing college baseball down there, so I said, "Hey, let's check this out." The music's bumping, there's drinks flowing, there's food being served, and to me, it was a really electric feel, and I thought, how do we capture this? But then you go to the country club down the road, and you see people scoffing at the speakers stuck to the bar
Mm.
and the golf cart, and I think I wonder how much of that has just been resistance from traditional golf, that we need to get over ourselves a little bit. And I mean, the speakers are going to be a thing. People are going to dress differently than Trevino and Arnold Palmer did back in the 50s and 60s. I think I think we need to probably be a little more flexible in the game, just to allow that new pipeline to really come to fruition.
Most definitely. Look, there's going to be certain courses you're not allowed to do certain things,
Sure.
and respect and abide by their rules. If what I always tell folks or whatever when we have discussions is like, look, if you want to wear your shirt untucked, or if you want to play music and you're going to a place that doesn't allow that, then don't go. And I mean,
Yeah.
or don't join, or whatever it may be. There's a ton of golf out there that I think um, is diverse in the sense that you can go from Augusta National to my local muni in town, which you can, you can wear a tank top to play golf.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you're not going to be doing that at Augusta. So there's a ton of opportunity, I think, to kind of go where you play. I'm not never going to get too riled up with the rules. I think you'll see a lot of people like that. That maybe have played high level golf. They've kind of been there and grinded through some period of time. That's why I think you'll see most tour guys. They'll practice barefoot and they'll wear workout clothes
Yeah.
barefoot. At their local, or they'll wear workout clothes. Practicing on the tee. But you'll have somebody that doesn't like that was a banker or whatever. And they
There's a
prefer
place
the
for
younger
him
shirt,
too.
like my granddad.
Yeah.
My granddad, you wear a collared shirt on the golf course and you can tuck your shirt into your shorts and you wear a belt.
Yeah.
Pretty simple, but I
Yeah.
think both people can live totally fine. So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder if outlets like Live Golf might change that perspective as well. I mean, that's a totally different feel than a stodgy tour event, and
Hmm.
I would assume that, like you said, with more kids and junior golf continuing to grow, I would assume that they'll gravitate more to that game because it's more relatable. We can
Hmm.
wear shorts, we can have music on the golf course, and I think there's places, like you said, there's a place for both, definitely. So I usually get a very quick answer from people that I ask, but are we, COVID was a huge boom for this industry as a whole. It presented some problems and challenges for the maintenance side with supply chain, but I think,
Mm.
just having in a lot of places, having golf be one of the few outlets for people, it was huge for the growth, no question about it. Is the industry smart enough to capitalize on that long term? We've seen these crests and troughs before in the industry. I've been in the industry since the early 80s, and I think I'm on my third or fourth crest right now of, yeah, we're doing great, we need to build more golf. And NGF came
Yep.
out in the 90s and said we need to be building a golf course a day, and then all of a sudden 2008 hits and everything closes
Mm.
down. Are we smart enough to capitalize this in a sustainable way?
Well, I mean, we've avoided the developments this go around with golf course and housing. So
Yeah.
I think that's good. I do think the industry has been more pragmatic with this growth as well. Meaning, like I mentioned earlier, there's a problem with supply and demand with golf courses, but
Yeah.
we haven't seen a ton of growth on the public golf side, and it's probably for a reason. People are gun shy still from '08 on that, and
Hmm.
I also think that it's probably good as a whole to kind of just see where this thing goes, and the market will end up fixing. The market will end up figuring it out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for sure.
um, I think that so weird. There's so many governing bodies of golf. Like who's the chair? Like the key chair of golf, if you will. Is it Augusta? Is it the PGA? Is it USGA? Is it the Tour? RNA? Who knows?
The answer is yes.
I think yeah, the five families. Look, I think golf has done a pretty good job um of capturing everything. Since COVID, and COVID it saved golf. I mean, if you look at the numbers, running up to COVID, the decade before, or golf was just not doing great. It was flat and
Yeah.
declining a little on rounds, annual rounds, which is the gold standard metric in golf is annual rounds played per year. So I think we've done a pretty good job. There's things we can do better, but I think we've done a pretty good job.
Yeah, it seems like the retention efforts might be the one thing that we could really focus
Yes.
on, and try to not only retain, but junior golf is, like you said, that's the pipeline for the future. I worked for an owner at a resort golf course that the director of golf and I were trying to push for junior events and junior outreach, and the owner, who was in his 80s, said that just the most preposterous thing I could ever imagine somebody saying, and he said, "Kids don't have money."
Hmm.
Talk about short-sighted. You said it earlier. I mean, that's the future of the game, and they will have money at some point in time, especially, families that are playing golf now. They're gonna they're going to prioritize their their luxury spending in that way, I think. And I was flabbergasted that he actually said that.
There's a golf course in Iowa. Um, I'm trying to see. I believe the town's about 4,000 people. I'm looking it up. Yeah, about 4,000 people.
I would
Orange
assume
City,
it's a
Iowa.
nine-hole country club, right? Because there's a
It's
nine-hole country
actually
club in every town.
that is actually true. No, it's 18. It's an 18-hole golf course, number one junior program in the country,
Hmm.
rural Iowa. 400 kids last year signed up. They're turning out college golfers left and right. And what it is, it's effort. It's effort
Yeah,
and people actually making a point to love junior golf. I mean, it's 4,000 people in this town, but you got people driving for an hour and a half away to come to this junior golf program. Um, yeah, it's just an effort making it a point to get it done.
that's awesome. Did you see what's the name of the golf course?
Landsmere, Orange
In
City, Iowa.
Orange City, Iowa. Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
population 5,500.
So they got almost 10% of the population just in junior golf.
Yeah, I mean, Golf Digest wrote a piece about it not too long ago about how this tiny town in Iowa is just capturing junior golf, and I didn't
That's
know about
awesome.
it. I'm an Iowa guy. I didn't know
Yeah.
about this, and I read that, and I started sending some messages around people in the state, and like, oh yeah, this thing is awesome.
I love to hear it. I love to hear it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's wrap up with one more question. And this may not be something you can answer, but I thought I'd throw this in here since it's more of our audience. But with respect to the growth of the game, accessibility, cost of the game, how do you see golf maintenance? I mean, a
Mm.
lot of the increase in cost is driven by demand. And for me, at the latter portion of my career, I really find myself gravitating to the golf courses that don't go for that last 10% of quality.
Mm.
It's the same golf course for you as it is for me. If the greens aren't putting 12, if the fairways didn't get mowed today, we're playing the same golf course and we're out there for exercise, enjoyment, nature. I think it's you know, and I'm not defending it necessarily, but it's driven by the demand of the golfer. But at
Hmm.
some point, whether it's legislated or environmental, you know, the whole industry, I think, has to be in agreement on pulling back on some of this ridiculous chase of quality in order to be more reasonable and accessible to more people.
If I'm at a place in Palm Springs where it's about a quarter million initiation and 30 grand in dues a year, and they're doing an overseed in the fall, right?
Right.
And the not the best place to grow grass in the world from a water standpoint. You could look at that and say, I guess you could look at it two ways. You could look at it and say, I'm paying X amount of dollars. I better have a perfect golf course.
Hmm.
And then you can look at it from the other way and say, this is not a natural place to put a golf course in Palm Springs.
Sure.
I am one of over the last 4 or 5 years, we've gone to Nebraska to play golf in the Sand Hills.
Oh, okay.
That's how golf is supposed to be played, I
Right.
think. I've had this debate in my head about this philosophy. I think that's how the founders of golf intended for golf to be played.
Hmm.
Inland golf links, sand hills, not moving a lot of earth to build your golf course, number one, or any earth. Having natural blown out bunkers, more of a rugged, a really resilient fairway grass that doesn't need a lot of rain or
Hmm.
hurt and chem. I think there's multiple ways to play golf. I, for one, don't really care about golf maintenance too much other than I like quick greens.
Sure.
I like
You're a
quick
putter
firm
guy.
greens.
Of course,
Yeah,
Jared.
I've always liked quick greens. I mean, I like to put on something that's around 11 every time I'm out there.
Yeah.
If I'm going to a public golf course, I played in Hawaii this fall, and going to Hawaii, the greens are not going to be fast because
Right.
they're dealing with different environmental issues that they're dealing with in the middle of the United States, whereas they're dealing with salt and water,
Yep.
right on top of the greens. And so, some golfers I think have to maybe take a step back and think about those things. And some of them might be right. If they're paying, $250,000 to play to place in Palm Springs, and they expect the overseas to be perfect.
Yeah.
I can't really fault them either for that.
Right.
But me, I can play golf really anywhere.
Yeah.
I just prefer the greens to be fast.
Yeah, I think there are some moves to that direction, and you're right. The sand hills type of environments are probably a lot more natural, and it's funny to see whether it's Bandon or any of the Dream Golf
Mm.
facilities like Sand Valley in Wisconsin. Some of those, I mean, their focal point is not on the perfection of the
Mhm.
maintenance, and yet they're booked every single day of the year. So that should tell us something, I think, as a larger industry for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think some stuff went pretty viral. I love the Dream Golf guys, and some stuff went pretty viral out of Bandon, I think a year and a half ago or so with the greens, and it didn't affect their demand
No,
one bit.
not at all.
Um,
Not at all.
when you're getting X amount of rounds per year, and I think they pretty much accept play every day out of Bandon.
Yep.
When you're getting that many rounds a year,
With
sometimes
weather,
greens aren't going to
with
exactly
weather like that.
very, very challenging. You're not going to always get perfect conditions, but that is kind of how Bandon, same regard. That's kind of I feel like how golf's meant to be played.
Right.
Um, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And there's a lot of artificial golf in this country too, which I don't really get bugged by that. Some people get really bothered by that. You look at Whistling, you look at Shadow Creek. Like most Whistling, people think it's artificial because all the dirt they brought in. Or if you look at Shadow, and in a desert, but I don't really care. That doesn't bother me. I think they're both great golf choices.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up with a what I call the lightning round. It's just quick questions. You don't have these in front of you, so you've got to just answer with what pops into your head. So, you love the Sandhills in Nebraska. What's a bucket list course or destination outside? If it's outside of golf, it's outside of golf. But what's a bucket list you haven't checked off yet?
I mean, I would love to go to Scotland and play some golf.
Yeah, yeah, me too. Me too. My father-in-law passed away 10 years ago, and that was kind of our goal was to get to an open and
Yeah.
and then play a little bit somewhere in country. Um, all right, this one's specifically for you. If you could pick a tech era for golf, a technological era to play, what would it be? Like
Mhm.
go back to Hickories, the mid-century type stuff. What would you like to try that you haven't tried?
I mean, I did hit persimmons when I was a kid. So I mean, yeah, I'm not really too interested in the hickory stuff. Honestly, if we could live in like that late '90s era,
Hmm.
I don't know if you remember that Titleist PT fairway wood that Tiger Woods
Oh yeah.
hit that feathery shot at Hazeltine with. Um, like that, I feel like is. I think we got, when that King Cobra came out in the early 2000s, I think that was the evolution of the big driver going forward. And, like the Callaway Big Bertha was kind of getting there, but like, I feel like the Big Bertha, the Ping Eye 2s, like that era, I think was really a fun era.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. Um, are you a college or pro sport guy?
College. Well, yeah, Kevin, you don't want to open up a whole different can.
They're
You
one
don't
and the
want
same.
can of
I,
worms right now on this.
I was gonna get into that, and maybe I'll ask you. I mean, all right, so one's got to go, NIL or transfer portal.
Transfer portal.
Yeah, I mean it's the only thing you can control at this point. If you're gonna
It's
transfer, you got to
it's
sit.
It's ridiculous. Unless
It's
you're one of the 5 schools in this country that has money.
That's right.
And it's not even to have money. Like they don't. Like, do you see Harvard out there, having a huge NIL budget?
Well,
No.
or the sport of golf or women's sports. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not paying the women's swimming and diving team members a whole lot of money. I mean, it's like you said, it's still the top five universities in the country that are benefiting from
Yeah.
this.
It's
Out of control.
it's completely out of hand.
Yeah. Okay, last question. And maybe it's none. Beer, wine, or other for after work's over.
Wine would be third. Um, I don't mind a nice glass of wine, but so I'm either gonna go just a straight glass of tequila or a Miller Lite, one of those two. I guess
Okay.
just depending
Yeah.
on how the week went.
Just end of the day. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Jared, I really appreciate this. I could go on about the business of golf, but it sounds like you're taking a little bit of a hiatus on that anyway. So
Oh,
let's not. I could go on with that for a long time because it fascinates me. I think, I've been in the business for 45 years, and I just it's sustained me. It's raised my family, and it's doing that for you as well. And I think we, as a team, we have to try to figure out how to keep this going so that your business thrives and our business as a whole thrives. And so appreciate your inputs. Again, HANNA golf.com.
yep.
And so if I order a putter today, how long is it going to be before I get it?
2 to 3 weeks.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate your insights. Keep up the good work and check out Jared's website. I think he's doing some pretty cool stuff in Central Iowa. And best of luck to you. And appreciate you coming on today.
Thanks for having me, Kevin.
All right, stick around for a minute.